Good morning, good afternoon. Thank you very much for joining the launch event of the Digital Government Outlook 2026. I will hand it over now to Elsa Pilichowski, the Director of Public Governance, to moderate this webinar. Elsa, to you.
Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, dear Secretary General, ministers, distinguished guests from around the world. Very big welcome to all of you to this high-level virtual launch of our first OECD Digital Government Outlook, reflecting the growing priority of digital government in our member countries. Today's discussion will focus on how governments can strengthen digital foundations to better deliver policies and meet people's expectations, as well as the role of international cooperation in navigating digital government policy choices. To open today's launch event, we are very honored to begin with remarks from the OECD Secretary General, Matthias Cormann. Secretary General, over to you.
Thank you very much, Elsa. Good afternoon also from me here from our headquarters here in Paris. A very warm welcome to this launch of the inaugural OECD Digital Government Outlook. This new flagship publication charts how digital technologies are reshaping the public sector, making public services smarter, faster, and more personal. With growing pressure on public budgets, adopting these technologies has also become a fiscal imperative. And it is what citizens expect. OECD research shows that speed and user-friendliness are key drivers of citizens' rights of satisfaction. But today, too many public services are complex and fragmented. To start a business or obtain a permit, people and businesses need to navigate multiple institutions on their own. They need to repeat administrative steps. They need to provide the same information again and again. This outlook highlights a path forward for saving time and resources using digital technologies. It draws on the practical experiences of 36 OECD member countries and 8 accession candidate countries. We measured progress using the OECD Digital Government Index and the Open, Useful and Reusable Data Index, our key indicators in this area. The results show that most governments have put in place the basic building blocks such as data sharing systems, digital identity and cloud infrastructure. However, this infrastructure is still underused, which is a missed opportunity. And it means that we are not making full use of existing investments and deployed resources. Today, only 63% of public institutions use the systems that have been set up to share data across government, for example. And while almost all OECD countries have digital identity systems, they can only be used for a limited set of public services. To increase the uptake of available tools across government, the Outlook recommends ensuring accountability among public sector managers in boosting adoption, requiring public bodies to use shared infrastructure and enhancing practical support for users, such as technical guidance and hands-on assistance. Governments also need to be ambitious and forward-thinking in preparing their workforce. Only 6 OECD countries have a dedicated digital skills strategy for civil servants, for example. A shift in culture and in training across the public service is key to using technology appropriately and effectively. And as they accelerate adoption, governments need to learn by doing. And they need to be flexible so that digital projects adjust to evolving technologies and user needs. Today, only 55% of governments have flexible procurement mechanisms, and only 29% of countries conduct cost-benefit analysis after projects are completed, limiting their ability to learn from past investments. More flexible, iterative, and coordinated approaches to investment in digital technologies will help ensure they deliver on their intended objectives. So a fundamental shift in mindset is equally important. Designing services with users, not just for them. This means tailoring service delivery and continuously improving based on user feedback, including through the use of AI. Currently, 53% of OECD countries have a strategy to integrate service delivery across channels, such as online, by phone, and in person. As a result, users who start a process in one channel often have to start again if they switch to another channel. And only 58% of governments systematically track user needs across the service lifecycle, missing insights that would help smooth out friction points. In conclusion, digital technologies offer a unique opportunity to fundamentally reshape how citizens and businesses interact with government. They can allow governments to better respond to people's needs, even when budgets are tight. And in doing so, they can make services more accessible, policies more effective, and trust in public institutions stronger. Realizing this potential requires sustained investment, stronger capabilities across the public service, and a clear focus on the needs of the people and businesses governments serve. Thank you. And back to you, Elsa.
Thank you very much, Secretary General, for opening this event. We are now pleased to hear from ministers representing some of our OECD member countries that have been leading the way on digital government transformation. First, I am pleased to introduce recorded remarks from Mrs. Karianne Oldernes-Tung, Minister of Digitalization and Public Governance of Norway.
The OECD has been a long-standing and important partner in Norway's efforts to digitalize public services and building digital competence. Through the years, OECD rankings, analyses, and recommendations have been instrumental in shaping our digital government and policies. Our national digitalization strategy was launched in 2024, and OECD rankings and analyses gave an important foundation for this work. Together with the government's plan for Norway, these policy documents set out our path forward for the next years. And we have an ambitious goal. We want to make Norway the world's most and best digitalized country by 2030. We want to be a leader in the responsible and innovative use of artificial intelligence to create jobs, strengthen national competitiveness, and address labor shortage. The result of the Digital Government Index shows that we are on the right way. We are making progress on 5 out of 6 indicators and perform above the OECD average on all indicators. On the OURdata index, we also perform well and has been ranked on 7th place. So these rankings from 2025 primarily shows that we maintained a steady positive development in the period before and immediately after our national digitalization strategy was launched. I'm happy to see so. Our overall objective is to deliver user-friendly solutions that provide high-quality services to citizens, an efficient public sector, and of course stimulate value creation for our businesses. This work is demanding, but we have made a strong start and are increasing the pace. And OECD will continue to be one of our main partners on digitalization and policy making. We really appreciate how the OECD collaboration gives us the tools to point out the right direction and to measure how we progress. So, thank you for your good work and tools for our joint national efforts.
Thank you very much, Madam Minister. I'm now pleased to introduce remarks from Mr. Yoon Ho-jung, Minister of the Interior and Safety of Korea.
안녕하십니까. 대한민국 행정안전부 장관 윤호중입니다. 마티아스 콜만 OECD 사무총장님을 비롯한 OECD 관계자 여러분, 그리고 각국 정부 대표 여러분께 뜻깊은 자리를 마련해 주신 데 대해 감사의 말씀을 드립니다. 대한민국 정부를 대표하여 OECD 디지털 정부 전망 보고서 발간을 진심으로 축하드립니다. 오늘 발간되는 디지털 정부 전망 보고서는 디지털 정부의 현재를 돌아보고 AI 시대 정부가 나아가야 할 방향을 함께 모색하는 뜻깊은 계기가 될 것입니다. 오늘날 AI 기술의 발전은 정부 운영 방식과 공공 서비스의 모습을 빠르게 변화시키고 있습니다. 그러나 기술의 발전만으로는 국민의 기대와 요구에 충분히 부응할 수 없습니다. 중요한 것은 기술 자체가 아니라 국민의 목소리를 반영하고 국민과 함께 공공 서비스를 설계하고 발전시켜 나가는 것입니다. 대한민국 정부는 AI를 단순한 기술 혁신이 아니라 국민 주권을 더욱 충실히 실현하고 국민 모두가 더 나은 삶을 누릴 수 있도록 하는 핵심 수단으로 보고 있습니다. 이러한 비전 아래 대한민국 행정안전부는 AI 민주정부를 추진하고 있습니다. AI 민주정부는 AI 기술을 활용해 국민과 함께 만들어가는 친절하고 유능한 정부입니다. 이를 위해 행정안전부는 3가지 방향을 중심으로 AI 기반 정부 혁신을 추진하고 있습니다. 첫째, 유능한 정부입니다. 행정정보를 AI가 활용하기 좋은 형태로 제공하고 AI를 행정 전반에 적극 활용하여 국민 누구나 보다 쉽고 편리하게 행정 서비스를 이용할 수 있도록 하겠습니다. 또한 반복적이고 비효율적인 업무를 줄여 공직사회가 국민을 위한 본연의 역할에 더욱 집중할 수 있도록 하겠습니다. 둘째, 함께하는 정부입니다. AI 기술을 활용해 국민의 의견을 더욱 폭넓게 수렴하고 정책에 반영함으로써 국민 참여를 확대하고 국민의 의사가 국정 운영에 더욱 충실히 반영되는 민주행정을 구현해 나가겠습니다. 셋째, 친절한 정부입니다. AI가 먼저 국민에게 필요한 서비스를 찾아 맞춤형으로 제공하고 정보와 접근성의 격차로 인해 혜택에서 소외되는 국민이 없도록 포용적 행정을 실현하겠습니다. 존경하는 각국 대표 여러분, 미래의 디지털 정부는 더 많은 기술을 보유한 정부가 아니라 기술을 통해 국민에게 더 가까이 다가가는 정부여야 합니다. 또한 누구도 소외되지 않도록 포용성을 높이고 국민의 신뢰 속에서 민주적 가치를 실현하는 정부여야 합니다. 대한민국 정부는 AI 민주정부를 통해 이러한 미래를 실현해 나가고자 합니다. AI를 국민 주권과 민주주의를 더욱 발전시키는 수단으로 활용하고 국민 모두가 디지털 전환의 혜택을 누릴 수 있도록 노력하겠습니다. 아울러 대한민국은 그동안 축적해온 디지털 정부 경험과 성과를 OECD를 비롯한 국제사회와 공유하고 디지털 정부와 AI 분야의 국제 협력을 확대해 나가겠습니다. 오늘 발간되는 디지털 정부 전망 보고서가 각국의 디지털 정부 혁신과 AI 시대의 새로운 정부 모델을 모색하는 데 의미 있는 길잡이가 되기를 기대합니다. 감사합니다.
Thank you very much, Minister. I now have the pleasure of introducing the remarks from Mr. Hisashi Matsumoto, Japan's Minister for Digital Transformation.
Good afternoon, everyone. I am Matsumoto Hisashi, Japan's Minister for Digital Transformation. I would like to extend my sincere congratulations on this occasion, marking the publication of the OECD Digital Government Outlook, or the DGO. I am also deeply grateful to OECD Secretary General Matthias Cormann and all those who have worked so hard to bring this event to fruition. Japan's most pressing digital priority at this moment is artificial intelligence development and utilization. Under Prime Minister Takaichi's leadership, the entire government is united in this endeavor. Our digital agency is particularly committed to advancing government AI. We believe that the government itself must lead by example, demonstrating how AI can be used effectively in the public sector. that will contribute to accelerating the implementation of AI across the whole of Japanese society. To anchor this initiative, we have launched our government AI platform, Gendai. As of last month, approximately 100,000 government officials already have access, and we anticipate expanding this to around 180,000 personnel across all ministries and agencies of the Japanese government. Responsible AI implementation demands rigorous attention to ethics, transparency, and reliability. Japan has played a leading role in establishing the Hiroshima AI process and continues to develop governance frameworks to manage AI risks appropriately. Earlier this month, on the 12th, we revised our guidelines, which were originally issued last year, to incorporate considerations for AI agents. This enabled the government to advance both AI utilization and risk management in an integrated manner. Furthermore, promoting government AI worldwide, grounded in the values of trustworthiness, will be crucial for establishing international governance frameworks for safe, secure, and trustworthy AI. Japan is committed to advancing government AI as a global initiative together with all of you. Turning now to today's centerpiece, Japan warmly welcomes the publication of the DGO. This report is far more than a snapshot of where each country stands. It will serve as a compass for formulating forward-looking strategies. Data-driven policymaking is essential for effective digital transformation. We place great value on the metrics the OECD provides, including the Digital Government Index and the OURdata Index. Of course, the same applies to the DGO itself. These resources offer insight and best practices that no country could develop within its own borders alone. We also have deep respect for the OECD's role in fostering international dialogue to advance public sector digital transformation. Digitalization is inherently borderless, and the challenges it presents cannot be resolved by any one country in isolation. The OECD's platform enables member states to share knowledge, coordinate policy, and develop joint responses to emerging issues. Looking ahead, we would encourage the OECD to take an even more assertive role in the AI field. The questions surrounding AI in the public sector are among the defining challenges of our time, and the OECD is uniquely positioned to help member states navigate them with confidence. Japan looks forward to contributing actively to that work. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Minister, and thank you to all ministers for their remarks and for sharing their perspectives. Let us turn now to Gillian Dorner, who is Deputy Director for Public Governance. She will walk us through the Outlook's key findings today.
Thank you, Elsa, and thank you all for joining us for the launch of the first OECD Digital Government Outlook. Over the next 15 minutes, I will set out what we measure and why it matters for government performance, where countries are making progress, where implementation is still falling short, and what governments can do to close the gap. Before the findings, let me contextualize this with the work that is now taking place as part of the OECD's Public Governance Committee. This work on digital government is very much not taking place in isolation, but is part of the broader OECD Government Unstuck agenda. Governments are being asked to move faster in a more complex world with rising public expectations and persistent pressure on trust and on public finances. Our OECD Trust Survey shows that citizens perceive that they lack voice in decision-making and have low confidence in government's ability to tackle complex, long-term policy challenges. In brief, there's a sense that our governments are stuck, asked to deliver on urgent priorities while being constrained by external and internal barriers to change. The OECD's Government Unstuck agenda sets out how governments can address this situation. It rests on 4 key areas: a new relationship between government and people, simpler government and regulation, restoring room for manoeuvre in public finances, and a more proactive and prepared government in a digital world. Digital government is one of the main enablers running through all 4 of these pillars. It is what lets governments better connect with citizens, work across administrative boundaries, cut duplication, and anticipate needs rather than just react. Put simply, governments cannot get unstuck without getting their digital foundations right and putting them to work. So, what is the Digital Government Outlook? It is our first comprehensive and forward-looking report dedicated to digital government, covering 36 member countries and 8 accession countries. It builds on 2 complementary tools. The Digital Government Index benchmarks 6 dimensions that together drive coherent government digital transformation: digital by design, data-driven public sector, government as a platform, open by default, and user-driven and proactiveness, spanning key enabling foundations from governance and digital infrastructure to data, AI, and service delivery. And we have the Open, Useful, and Reusable Data Index, which focuses on whether government data is genuinely available, accessible, and reusable in practice. What makes these tools distinctive is that they do not just check whether a strategy exists on paper. They look in depth at whether governments have the foundations and capabilities to implement the strategy coherently from design to delivery. Capability and coherence, not just ambition. And this is a unique evidence base which helps countries identify opportunities, prioritize reform, and track progress over time. Let me turn to what the results in this outlook show. I'll take them in 2 steps. First, the progress, which is real and encouraging, and then the gaps, which is where countries' work lies in the near term. First, governments are clearly strengthening their digital capabilities. This is the good news. On the Digital Government Index, the OECD average overall rose by 9 percentage points between 2023 and 2025, from 0.61 out of 1 to 0.7. This is not just driven by 1 or 2 leading countries. Underneath this overall score, our data shows concrete improvements across all 6 dimensions of the Digital Government Index, with the strongest progress in data-driven public sector, user-driven approaches, and government proactiveness. This matters because it signals that countries are not just adopting more digital technologies. They're doing so in a way which is more effective, backed by stronger governance, better use of data, and a clearer focus on what people actually need. This is exactly the kind of progress that can lead to better government performance. When looking at open government data, the picture is similar. The OURdata index rose by 5 percentage points over the same period, from 0.48 to 0.53. The direction of travel is positive here too. Underneath this overall score, the data shows that countries continue to do better at making data available and accessible, but less so at ensuring that data is genuinely reused. This issue is not simply about publishing more open data, it is about making that data work in practice. This is essential not only for government transparency, but also to reap the potential of a data-based economy. Overall, the results of both indices are positive and demonstrate progress. However, they also point to key challenges that can slow down success. Results show that governments are getting noticeably better at the early stages of the policy cycle, setting goals, creating institutions, putting strategies and frameworks in place. But they are much less consistent at the later stages, embedding those frameworks into everyday operations and measuring whether they actually work in practice. And this picture has not changed that much since 2023. This points to a real design to delivery gap. The challenge today is increasingly not a missing component. It is the weak connection between the components that already exist. Strong foundations are necessary, but on their own, they are not enough. This gap between ambition and execution is the red thread throughout the 5 findings I will now walk you through. One in each of the areas where the gap shows up most clearly. This is digital public infrastructure, data governance and openness, management capacity, AI in government, and public services. The first finding is about digital public infrastructure. The shared building blocks like digital identity or data sharing systems on which the whole system is built. The availability of these systems keeps growing. For example, single digital gateways, digital notifications, and data sharing are now a standard, with over 80% of OECD countries having implemented them. But the problem is uptake. On average, 63% of public institutions use their national data sharing system to exchange data across government. And 69% of countries can offer access to at least half of their online services through a secure digital identity system. So governments have built the infrastructure, but they are not yet using it as the default backbone across the public sector. The key shift is from availability to everyday use, embedding these systems as reusable default building blocks that every part of government draws on automatically. The second finding is about data governance. Nearly all OECD countries now have a public sector data strategy, mostly aimed at improving government productivity and delivering more user-driven services. While data governance is improving, it is not yet translating into more strategic availability and use. Implementation, reuse, and outcome measurement all lag behind. High-value data sets, in particular on education, crime, and justice, are more available than before, but overall coverage is still incomplete, and access through more modern means, such as application programming interfaces, APIs, remains limited. This matters for effective delivery. Trustworthy AI and genuinely data-driven government both depend on getting this right. Without strong data foundations that are actually used, the AI ambitions every government now holds will not be realized. The third finding turns to government's own capacity to manage digital transformation, how to steer, fund, and staff it. The tools are largely in place. Most countries can plan and estimate digital spending, but they remain too rigid for modern delivery. Only a small number carry out evaluation once projects are complete to learn what works, and half use the more adaptive, iterative funding and management approaches that digital projects need. On skills, only 6 countries have dedicated strategies for building the workforce needed in the digital age, which can create the focus and accountability to act at scale. So management tools such as investment planning, funding, and evaluation, and efforts to build workforce capability are not yet in tune with modern iterative ways of working. The fourth finding is on AI in government, where the opportunity is significant, but readiness is uneven. As seen in our 2025 report on governing with AI, AI use in selected government functions is growing fast, but seems to be applied more in internal processes and services than in policy making and government accountability at the current juncture. And as mentioned, the enablers that would let it scale more rapidly, such as data governance, transparency, infrastructure, skills, and organizational capacity, are developing unevenly. Transparency is a clear example of this. Only 6 countries maintain an open algorithm register or equivalent for AI in government. The result is that, as previously presented in our report Governing with AI and confirmed in this outlook, AI in government too often stays at the level of small pilot experiments that do not scale, with benefits that are rarely measured. To use AI well, governments need to be ready in terms of both capability and governance, not one without the other. And finally, this directly connects with how people experience government through public services. Service standards are now widespread, but they are not yet pushing towards joined up and consistently delivered services across public service channels. Only half of OECD countries have an omni-channel service delivery strategy, and user engagement is still not systematic or consistently involve all groups in society. The consequence is that people too often experience services through institutional boundaries, rather than as a single coherent journey. The challenge is implementation, embedding service standards, engaging users, tying infrastructure and data into day-to-day routines so that joined-up services become the norm and not the exception. This is where digital government becomes the most visible to citizens. So this is where governments stand. The question is, what can they do now? The Outlook makes 4 recommendations to future-proof governments for the digital and AI age. The following recommendations aimed at helping governments close the gap between ambition and execution. First, ensure that digital systems and infrastructure are widely adopted and interoperable, used by default across government, not just available in principle. Second, make governance, investment and skills fit for digital delivery. More agile funding, more learning from what works, and a serious investment in the people and capabilities that run modern government. Third, strengthen the capabilities needed for trustworthy and scalable AI in government. The data, transparency and governance that let promising experiments grow into reliable and sustained public value. And fourth, strengthen capabilities for joined up and human-centered services so that people experience government as one coherent system. Taken together, these mark the shift this outlook is calling for, from strong foundations to real, measurable impact in how government works and what is delivered. That is part of how we help governments get unstuck. The full outlook and all the underlying data are now available on the OECD website. The link is available in the webinar chat and the QR code is on the screen right now. Let me leave you with one thought. The last decade was about whether governments could build the foundations of digital government. They've now done it. The next few years are now about whether they can turn these foundations into transformation that people can really experience. That is the work of the Outlook, and the OECD are here to support. We look forward to taking it forward with all of you. Thank you, and now back to Elsa.
Thank you very much, Gillian. I believe the picture is now very clear. The challenge is now for government to close the gap between ambition and execution, and ensuring that digital investments translate into transformational impact, delivering tangible improvements for people and business. The goal is to transform how governments work in practice, making them more connected, more adaptive, more efficient, and more anticipatory, in line with our thinking on the Government Unstuck agenda. So how do we move from strategies and foundations to joined-up action? This means addressing key questions where governments should focus their limited digital resources, how governments can implement the right mix of governance, capability, and infrastructure to deliver widespread transformation, and how quickly can governments move on technologies such as AI, of course, while maintaining trust and accountability. And perhaps most importantly, how do governments move their default operating mode from reactive to proactive? And of course, digital infrastructure and delivery are absolutely critical to that. Our outlook suggests that success will depend less on what governments build next, and more on how effectively they use, connect, and govern what they already have. So with those questions in mind, let me turn to our great panelists now. I am absolutely delighted to welcome government leaders in this space. First, Liz Bondi, Deputy CEO of Australia's Digital Transformation Agency. Second, Adam Lebek, Deputy Director General of Denmark's Agency for Digital Government. Nati Cohen, Director General from Israel's National Digital Identity. And Paola Acosta, Head of the Institutional Capacity of the State Division in the Inter-American Development Bank. Thank you so much for all of you for joining us today. So as a first round of questions and reflecting on the gaps highlighted by the outlook, we will start by focusing on the path ahead of us and the strategic choices that need to be made in the coming years. Liz, if I might start with you. Australia has made impressive progress since the beginning, but also improving its ranking in the Digital Government Index from fifth in 2023 to second overall in 2025. And yet there is still work to do. Where are the Outlook's findings helping to focus your efforts today?
Yeah, thank you so much and for having us and for the Outlook. From Australia's perspective, the Outlook confirms that we do have strong foundations, but it also has highlighted some structural constraints that will limit progress if we don't address them deliberately. I think we've already heard about one of the areas which is maximising existing investment. So Australia's, over the last decade, invested quite heavily in MyGov, our digital front door to services, and in digital identity. And the question now really is, as has already been spoken about, not what we build next, but how are we really going to embed these consistently across government, and how are we going to make these services feel joined up from a user perspective. So there is going to need to be a deliberate shift within our system from building of the new platforms to making the system work as one. The second area also has already been reflected on, and that is around data. While Australia performs strongly overall, the findings highlight for us that data still isn't functioning as a fully integrated system-wide asset. Australia has a fairly unique challenge, and we have a federated government system with different levels of government holding related information under different laws and different systems and policy settings. And we have had privacy and confidentiality and secrecy laws that have developed over many decades. And culturally, the focus has been not on sharing information. So our focus is increasingly having to shift to interoperability and to the data standards, and ensuring that we can share across agencies within the frameworks that we do have, and treating data as a strategic asset, not just as an operational byproduct. And building on that, which is directly affected by that, is artificial intelligence. And the Outlook reinforces something that we're seeing in practice. You can run pilots in fragmented environments, but we're never going to be able to scale without the strong interoperable data foundations. So our approach to AI is really about ensuring that we do have the data and the standards, the interoperability, as well as the clear governance, ethics, and accountability frameworks. We've got to be able to set ourselves up to move from the experimentation place to being able to use AI at scale. And then fourthly, and again, which has already been spoken about, is the structural issue and the fragmentation that occurs across platforms and the data and the services and governance across the entire system. When you've got responsibilities that are spread, as countries do, across multiple entities, there can be a gap between the policy intent and the delivery, and the delivery is what can be really difficult. So we're putting more emphasis on a stronger central coordination role, particularly within the Digital Transformation Agency, ensuring that we've got clear roles and mandates, and making sure that initiatives are designed to reinforce each other rather than operating in isolation. And so with all of that, we hope that we get to move from the strong capability and foundations and into the future. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Liz. So I have noted the important words for the future, scaling, interoperability, working on data, ethics and accountability framework, and the kind of whole of government approach that you need to put in place for that. Thank you very much. Let's now move to you, Nati. Obviously, Israel has also been a very strong digital adopter, and yet the outlook shows opportunities to improve the underlying approaches to its governance and investment in the digital transformation. How do you see, what do you see as the biggest challenge today, and how are you tackling it?
Thank you, Eliza. And it's a pleasure for me to be here with you, and of course, to tell you how much we appreciate it here in Israel, your leadership, especially with the e-leaders working party. And of course, it's helped us very much here in Israel. The OECD Government Outlook gives us a very clear picture where we're standing and approach the income that we made in the last 2 years, as we saw in the tools, for 33% encourage, gives us a very clear help how to encourage to the future. So I want to tell you that we have a government plan that calls the roadmap to the digital services. It's actually last week I presented this plan to the Prime Minister, and he said that this is one of the focus plans efforts in the government. What's good in this plan that we're working together with the ministry officers to appreciate the goal. So the main goals that we have is until 2030, 100 services that the government gives to the public will be by the digital. I can tell you that we monitored 4,000 services that all of the ministry gives to the people of this country. And to achieve this goal, we have I will say 3 challenges. Okay, and now I will talk about the challenges that we can appreciate the roadmap to 4 years from now. So the second challenge, the first challenge that we have is the technology challenges. The technology challenges, we are updating now all our systems and all our tools with the MyGov systems that we adopted, and of course the movement to the cloud. We have a big project that calls Nimbus, and the Nimbus program, we lead this program in the government, and all the ministries in the last 2 years, in the second 2 years, will go inside to the cloud with our leadership. So this is one of the first challenges that we have, to transfer all the government to the cloud, and of course to the new tools that we adopted. The second challenge that we have is the data challenge. We are working to successfully move the data away from the data monopoles that we have here in Israel, in organization that has monopoly of the data. one to each other. Of course, we have tools to do it, but this is one of the bureaucracy challenges that we have here in Israel. I can tell you that most of the tools, most of the laws, most of the government discussions are after us, and now we need to go inside the organization to transfer the data from one to each other. The third challenge that we have, of course, it's the AI challenge. The transformation of the technology will adapt us to go to the government AI zone. Of course, we have the tools to do it, and I can tell you in another 4 or 5 months from now, we will have most of the tools to go inside the government AI. We started to give services to our public in AI questions and how to figure the services that we have in parts of the government services. It's a beginning, and we will go in the next 2 years to do it. We have now also an AI agency that looks all over the country, not the government, the country. And of course, we're working together to achieve this goal. So this is the 3 challenges that we have. And I can tell you that the Digital Government Outlook gives us a very good help how to achieve our goal and to go to the next 4 years to achieve 100% services to our public by the digital MyGov and privacy issues in our Gov systems. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Nati. So 3 challenges you have outlined: the technology challenges, especially moving to the cloud, getting rid of the data monopoles and be able to kind of transfer the data across government, and of course the AI challenge, where you're making huge progress already, and with the idea of having also in the end 100% of your services digital. I mean, you're moving very fast. That's very impressive. Now moving to Adam. So Adam, across countries, we've seen that building digital talent and skills continues to be a big challenge for governments trying to keep pace with the technology. How is Denmark managing this?
Thank you, Elsa, for the invitation to participate and share today, and congratulations on a great report. A lot of insights that are very useful for us in government. So on digital talent, that's really one of the key issues that we face right now, and not least with the AI revolution rolling in. One of the key challenges is implementation for AI. And 95% of AI projects fail to deliver the results we need. And we see increasingly that it's difficult. If we zoom out a little on digital talent, in our digital strategy, we focus on talent from primary and lower secondary school upwards, focusing on you become a digital citizen. In Denmark, we see your own digital post from year 15. And it's also a key part of the school curriculum today based on our strategy. But also in the general Danish labor market model, we have the flexicurity model, which means that it is relatively easy in Denmark to adjust the workforce, also in government, to where you need new skills. And for the employees, there's a strong focus on how to retrain and get new digital skills in the areas that are needed. So that's really something that we like to leverage in this regard, the focus on getting people to get the new skills that they need in a digital area. We also have a strong focus on importing IT specialists. Some say that AI and Claude Code can take it over. Not yet. We still need a lot of IT specialists and more to deliver the results. So these are some of the issues that we work with in the Danish government.
Thank you very much. So important that you have mentioned school curricula as part of your strategy. The fact that probably Denmark is well positioned also with this, its flexicurity model of employment where you can focus on retraining people. And finally, you're also emphasizing that AI has not yet replaced IT specialists and that there's a big need for that, including through importing them. Now, moving to you, Paula. The IDB has in the past supported the Digital Government Index for Latin America and the Caribbean, and thank you very much for that. How have you seen that those comparative results guide conversations and also motivate digital investments in Latin America and the Caribbean over the past few years?
Hi, Elsa. Hi, everyone. It's a true pleasure to be here. And congratulations on a great report. The messages and the timing of the report is excellent, and I'm pretty sure that we're going to take great advantage of it. So the quick answer for your question is yes. But first, I would like to give a little bit of context. In Latin America and the Caribbean, there has been a great progress, but significant gaps remains. On average, fewer than 40% of government services can be completed online, and only 7 countries out of 26 have dedicated data protection authorities. And fewer than that have established government security operation centers. And that is why having robust and comparable indicators is so important. Countries need evidence to understand where they stand, identify priorities, and make better policy and investment decisions. This is precisely why the Digital Government Index has been so valuable for the region. By extending the OECD methodology beyond its member countries, you have included 2 additional countries that are in their accession process. It provides a common framework for measuring progress and understanding where additional efforts are needed. The initiative has been very well received across Latin America and the Caribbean because it offers both an international recognized benchmark and a common language for policymakers. Through the Red Haag, that is the regional network of digital government authorities, countries have actively engaged with the process and are using the results to guide their digital transformation agendas. At the IDB, we use the index and the report in our official dialogue with governments through our Digital Government Observatory, and is as important as you can imagine to talk with them not only as a ranking, but actually as a roadmap. The answer is yes, this is very useful for policy dialogue, but it's also very useful in the sense that serves both as a motivator and as a roadmap for advancing digital government across the region.
Thank you very, very much, Paula. And you also talked earlier on about making the right digital investments, which I think is also very crucial for any country, but in particular, of course, for Latin America and the Caribbean. Thank you very much for that. Thank you all for this first round of questions. And as the outlook has shown and your comments confirm, it's clear that countries have the ambition of really ensuring that the digital transformation delivers results for people, not just better technology for government. So I would like to hear more about how this shift is happening in your countries. And Adam, let's get back to you and Denmark. You recently announced some exciting developments on using digital identity with interesting potential for cross-border application. How is this helping to improve the user's access and experience of interacting with government?
Thank you. We have a long tradition of EID in Denmark and have 97% rollout for citizens, close to 100% for businesses. What we're focusing on right now is a digital wallet implementation, which is happening all over Europe. And as you're right, 2 weeks ago, we launched our implementation of the UD wallet. So far not compliant, but for Danish use. But we're early and we'll get there. And user take up for the first 2 weeks has been great. Great reviews in iOS and Google App Store, and also among the service providers who started implementing the solution. And basically, you have the ability to use a digital identity credentials online in the future also across Europe, and offline as well as an identity and for various purposes. So this has a great potential for government and also for private services, making them more secure, more user-centered, potential also across borders, taking your driver's license with you or logging on to websites and great large platforms across countries. One of the key focus points in the wallet, the OURdata, as it's called in Denmark, and the UD wallet is the focus on personal data, privacy. You really can protect people's privacy and the data here. So instead of sharing your full identification or verification of, for instance, age online, you share only the necessary credential. And this is made completely robust, both technically and legally, making it very certain as a user that you can be anonymous online when you need to and identify yourself online or offline when you need to. So it also reduces friction in everyday situation where age verification, for instance, is required. We live, I think we're currently the first country that led up to the European standard. So technically you can already use it in other countries. So far, service providers are not on board. That's one of the next issues. And really, this the difficulty sometimes in rolling out infrastructure in general, as you mentioned, is the implementation. You need to do an IT system. That's important. It has to work. It has to be usable. But you also need to get all the services on board. So that's a strong focus, both online and offline services that receive the EID. And you need to get the users on board, getting close to universal use if you want to succeed. So just let me briefly mention one chance the governments have to improve services with this. So today we spend a lot of money integrating systems across, for instance, for use of data. This actually makes some of these investments redundant because as a citizen or business, you can get your data into your wallet. And then when you use a service online, instead of drawing data from another system in some situations, it just shows a QR code. You take your phone, you swipe, and you add the information necessary there completely within your own control and completely secure. So it also has a lot of potential in this way of redesigning services in the future that make them more privacy focused and also even cheaper to implement. And so maybe in the future when we use services across Europe, we'll see QR codes or other technologies pop up all the time, allowing us to use our digital credentials across borders.
Thank you very much, Adam, and congratulations on launching your digital wallet and on the good uptake and feedback so far. You mentioned also the challenge of getting users on board, obviously, but also services on board, which I think is also a very important lesson for everybody here, and also the potential for redesigning services further down the line, being more human-centered. And building on that, we're going back to Nati. Israel has been working hard to take a more human-centered approach to its digital service platform. Can you tell us more about how you have been integrating services in this way?
So thank you again for the question. So movement from better technology to real value for the people is the heart of our program. I can tell you that the main issue is to put the human centric in the middle. So all of our actions is to see in the end of the edge, in the end of the process, the human people here in Israel. And we don't want them to see all the government bureaucracy. We want them to see the services in the end. So we look of what we see from edge to edge. So we have special people that looks about life events, and we want to see that every event has an answer or services that helps them to see all the services of the government in one place. So what we did a year ago, we created a new unit here in Israel. The name is our Services Improvement Unit. So this unit in the last year mapped 4,000 government services, and all these services that we can use by the digital zone to our people. This is in the main of our plan. And as I told you, we have the plan until the end of 2030. 100% of these 4,000 services will go by the digital. So I talked about the challenges, and this center that we build, the Virtual Services Center, will give all the services and all the things that the government can give us, but by process from one edge to the other. Now, what we need to do is to see that all the people can use the digital services. Therefore, we have sectors, we have people that needs a lot of help how to use the digital. So this is another challenge that we have. The challenge that 100% of the people of Israel can use the digital services. And this is what we work together with universities, of course, the schools, students that will come to all people, ultra-Orthodox sectors, and all our sectors that will have the capability to use the services. Thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you very much, Nati. And so 4,000 services, 100% digital by 2030, and focused on life events. And going back also to what Adam was mentioning, there's really an opportunity for both streamlining around life events, which can be really interesting, and a complete redesign of services. You have also mentioned the Service Improvement Center, and that's also something interesting in the sense that we have passed the last 3-4 decades decentralizing a lot of government operations at in services in different directorates or in different ministries or even at the local level. But there is also right now an opportunity for at least a minimum level of coordination, if not some re-centralization somehow, to make sure that things are around citizens and around their life events. So thank you very much for that. Going back to Liz and Australia now. We have started to discuss a lot about AI, obviously, which is not anymore the new frontier, which is just a frontier. It's not new anymore. Lots of pilots and not enough scaling. And it is great to see that 2 of the 3 pillars of Australia's AI plan focus specifically on people and trust. So practically speaking, how is this influencing the government's implementation of AI?
Yeah, thanks, Elsa. So in Australia, we've been very deliberate that AI, the AI agenda is not technology first, or not just about technology, but is about people first. And the focus is on trust and inclusion. And one thing we are doing is embracing AI in a planned and coordinated way. And in doing so, we're hoping that's going to allow us to unlock the full potential that AI offers for the public service. The focus on trust really means that we're not asking, can we use AI? But the question is, should we use it, and under what conditions? And practically, some of the things that we're doing, so we've got clear guardrails up front. So all our government agencies are expected to assess risks early, particularly for high impact use cases that are going to impact on people. And where there are high risk use cases, we've established an AI committee where government agencies can submit these use cases, and they will be discussed with advice provided back to agencies. We've got a principle of transparency by default, with agencies needing to have AI transparency statements and making it clear when AI is being used in decision-making and service delivery. And core also is that human side remains central, particularly where an outcome affects the rights, entitlements, or access to services. So the result may be a bit slower, but it's a deliberate deployment, and ultimately it's really a hearts and minds exercise, as well as bringing the public along with us. And the focus on people is about pushing beyond pilots and proofs of concept towards tangible service improvements. So the focus for us is thinking about how do we deploy AI where we're going to reduce friction in services, where we're going to actually simplify the interactions and improve response times, that we're supporting frontline staff, that we're improving accessibility. So it's not just a matter of efficiency, but what is the outcomes for people? And we want to make sure that people are involved in the decision-making process and that people trust the outcome. So it's a subtle but very important shift for us, that it's not just about the technology, it's about the service outcome for the people that we're serving. And the trust and people pillars also driving a stronger focus on capability and consistency. So we're investing in AI literacy across the public service, so our staff understand opportunities and risks. We're developing consistent approaches to governance and assurance, sharing the information between agencies, so agencies aren't reinventing the wheel, and sharing those lessons. So practically, our AI plan is ensuring that we are carefully deploying AI, we're measuring through people's experience, and we're building the foundations for trust so we can move to scale. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Liz. And there would be a lot to say about what you have just said. You talked a lot, you mentioned a lot of the governance that you are putting behind the high risk cases or the high and even the high impact cases. I was just at a conference last week with some very interesting officials who are using AI in government, and very high level officials who are saying it's also about listening to this little voice that humans have about whether we should do it or not in specific cases. And they were saying this is where the humans will never be replaced, is this little voice about ethics, integrity, and value added that only humans have, which I thought was a nice way of putting things. And we have to put the governance behind this little voice. So thank you for that. Also, you mentioned it's not only about efficiency. And here again, there's some interesting things about, yes, we have to improve efficiency always, but there's also the opportunities that AI provides for new services. And I have in mind, for example, the city of Madrid and the Paloma use case, where they are identifying with AI people at risk of loneliness. And to be able to design services around those people, which I thought was a very, very interesting case. So there are lots of things to be, and you talked about being slow versus being, fast, to be able to have all these human at the center. And these are all very important questions. So thank you very much for that. Now turning to Paula again. And of course, digital identity, we've said, is absolutely crucial to the next steps of digital government. Cross-border integration of digital identity solutions is progressing among OECD countries, and we've seen some fascinating developments in Latin America and the Caribbean. Can you share with us a good government development and use case of cross-border interoperability of digital identity that you think is really delivering results?
Thank you, Elsa, for the question. I'm glad you raised digital identity because it is one of the most important digital public infrastructures. It is the foundation that allows citizens and businesses to interact securely with governments and participate in the digital economy. And as Liz was saying, digital identity moves at the speed of trust. If I had to highlight one example that is already delivering tangible results in the region, it would be the initiative that we call LAC Digital Citizen Initiative, or for shortened ID-LAC. Today, a Brazilian citizen can use their national identity to access online public services in Uruguay, without obtaining a separate credential, and vice versa. What is particularly remarkable is the speed of progress. 1 year ago, we had 39 tramits, and today we have over 300. What makes this experience even more promising is that it's rapidly expanding across the region. What began with 4 pioneer countries 2 years ago, now it has been growing and we have over 12 countries. This effort brings together governments. Of course, we supported the World Bank, co-developed the Organization for American States, and Red Real. So it has become, aside from the dialogue, one very specific result from the collaboration that we have through this regional network. This is truly important because digital identity, as we all know, is much more than a technology. It is the gateway to trusted digital services in a region that is seeking deeper economic and social integration. Enabling citizens to use their digital credentials across borders can be transformative. At the same time, and this is where I get really jealous of all of the experiences that we've seen today, we're at a different level, right? Fewer than half of citizens have access to a digital identity, and we face significant challenges regarding use and adoption. Our upcoming regional study on digital ID shows that if countries in the region provide digital identity to at least half of their population and combine it with a strong offer on digital public services, GDP could increase by an average of 1.8% over the next decade. Digital identity creates value within countries, of course, but interoperability, that is what is about this initiative, multiplies the value of crossing borders with the same identity. Thank you, Elsa.
Thank you very much, Paula. Very interesting thing, but also very impressive take-up in Latin America of digital ID. And what you have mentioned of digital ID, we also, we usually think about digital ID as take-up of services, including private services, but of regional integration and economic growth, basically, is a very also interesting point of view. You had a very interesting sentence, which I will quote from time to time. Digital ID moves also at the speed of trust. And this is also bridging with what Liz was mentioning earlier, the importance of trust. And let me just mention here that we will be launching in 2 weeks the results of the new survey on the drivers of trust in public institutions, where we have a full chapter on AI take-up in government, and with I would say, humbling results about the confidence that citizens have on government using AI. They obviously have more confidence in government using AI for efficiencies and for tailoring services than they have on the ethical and fairness aspects of the use of AI. So there's still a lot of investment to be made in that field. Again, we will be launching that on the 29th of June. But to finish this discussion, we'd like to end with a to-do list for governments and for us here at the OECD. Conscious of the time, let's do this as a lightning round. I'll ask you all the same question and request that you spend only 1 minute in your response maximum. So the question for all of you is the following. As governments move from foundations to transformational impact, how can the OECD best support digital leaders in building capabilities to deliver and endure over time? Nati, we'll start with you, then Paula, yes, and Adam.
Thank you. We understand that we need to lead the transformation from digital transformation to lead the transformation, because the transformations are here. This is a fact. This is our past, but how we lead it. So the OECD can help us with two main issues. One is clear frameworks and strong managements. The management of what we do with the OECD helps us. As you can see, the improvement that Israel did in the last 2 years was because of the managements of the OECD, and we focus very much on it. We learn from this, and I can tell you that we need to walk the walk. So what we do now is working very hard to deliver a new online tools and dashboards to all our ministries in the government. We manage 4 issues: security, the transformation to the cloud, the AI transformation, and another things that we go into the workspace. But what we're doing is online managers, and of course we can share after we will online it and deliver it. We can share with all the countries what we did, and this can be very useful for us to have a dashboard and see what is the movement of the plan, and of course what is the quality of what we're doing as we putting the main government plan, as I told you, the roadmap to manage everything that we do. So thank you very much in this opportunity. We're learning a lot from you, and of course we want to thank your leadership with the leaders. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Nati. So we will be very happy to see the results of the dashboard and of course share it with the 37 other countries. Moving to you, Paula.
Yeah, I believe the most important thing we can do is join forces. The OECD has a very strategic and unique contribution about sharing good practices, but I think that our work together goes beyond that. And it's also accompanying governments in implementing those transformations. My second message will be that we need to understand this as a state capacity building agenda. This is not a matter of the Ministry of Technology or the Digital Government Agency. It is in reality a whole of government approach. And another thing that we can do, and I will finish there, is that we can work together to build strong business cases that help governments, and particularly ministries of finances, understanding that digital transformation is not another expenditure, is not another item on the budget, but an investment in a more effective, responsive, and productive state.
Thank you very much, Paula. So in addition to what Nati said about clear frameworks and sharing, etc., you also mentioned accompanying governments for increased state capacity and, of course, partnering on that. Thank you very much. That is useful. Then Liz.
Thank you. So 3 things, continuing with the practical guidance on governance and coordination, and particularly having models that can sustain reform across systems and over time. The continued focus on human-centered services, particularly as technology continues to move at pace. And just reinforcing also what Paula had said, that benchmarking and peer learning are working together so that we stay aligned.
Yeah, thank you very much. I want to highlight the overtime that you mentioned, the fact that we would continue to follow countries as things develop. I think that's very, very important that we continue to develop. We're all learning together at the same time with these developments. So thank you very much. Adam, your turn.
I would like to stress implementation. The Digital Government Outlook shows that we have progress in getting the right ambition, governance, the frameworks and enabling conditions in place. The difficulty is getting to operations and getting to the end user actually getting the benefit from the systems. So implementation is key. What can the OECD do? A lot of the same, but a strong focus on help government measure what works, how to get there, how to get not just the right strategies, frameworks, enabling conditions in place, but also how to actually get the benefits from it. And the Digital Government Outlook is a good place to start. Thank you.
Thank you very much. The measurement will also be indeed very important, absolutely. So listen, thank you very much to our panelists. These are really excellent reflections. I have taken careful notes, so have my staff, I believe, of the ideas and the insights that you gave us today. Let me once again thank everybody who attended today. Special thank you to the OECD members, accession candidate countries that contributed to the whole of the work and to the digital government outlook. Of course, this report would not have been possible without the countries' engagement, participation in surveys, willingness to share experiences and to share practical examples. Thank you again to our speakers, our panelists, and our early speakers today. We have learned a lot of important lessons. Nobody has all the answers, especially at the pace at which technology is developing. But I think this sharing has been and continues to be very important, and this is precisely what we do at the OECD. So with that, we will close today's event. Thank you very much to all, and goodbye.